The rain wouldn't stop. It poured down like the sky itself was weeping for her. Maya Collins sat huddled beside the small crib where her 2-month-old twins lay, their little chests rising and falling with uneven breaths. The cracked window leaked, and a steady drip echoed through the single-room apartment she rented behind an auto repair shop. She had nothing left to sell. Her wedding ring was gone, her mother's earrings pawned, her last savings spent on baby formula that had already run out. She'd tried to stay strong, but that night, as thunder shook the walls, desperation finally broke her. She picked up her old, cracked phone and scrolled through her contacts. Her finger stopped on one name, Mrs. Thompson, her former employer. The woman had always been kind when Maya worked as a nanny for her little boy, but they hadn't spoken in months. Still, maybe she could lend her something, just enough for medicine and formula. Her thumbs trembled as she typed. Greater than, Mrs. Thompson, I'm so sorry to bother you. The twins are sick, and I can't afford their medicine. Could you please help me with a small loan? I promise I'll pay you back. She hesitated for a moment, then pressed send. Minutes passed. The babies whimpered softly, their tiny faces flushed with fever. Then, her phone buzzed. Relief flickered through her for a second before she read the reply. Greater than, who is this? Her heart sank. She scrolled up, realizing too late that she had typed one digit wrong in the phone number. Greater than, oh, I'm so sorry, she typed quickly. Wrong number. Please ignore this. But instead of ignoring her, the stranger wrote back. Greater than, you mentioned twins. Are they okay? She frowned, unsure how to respond. They're not. They've had a fever for days. I'm taking them to the public clinic tomorrow. A pause. Then, greater than, what's your name? Greater than, Maya. Greater than, Maya, what's your address? She blinked. Why would you need that? Greater than, because I want to help. Her first instinct was fear. The world didn't hand out kindness for free, especially not to women like her. I can't accept charity from a stranger, she replied. Greater than, it's not charity, came the response. Consider it, fate. Before she could reply, another message popped up, a bank notification. Her stomach dropped as she read it. $2,000 deposited into your account. She gasped. No, this can't be real. Panicking, she tried calling the number, but it went straight to voicemail. A calm, deep voice answered. Greater than, this is Ethan Ross. Leave a message after the tone. She froze. Ethan Ross, the billionaire CEO of Ross Tech Industries, one of the most powerful men in the country. She'd seen his face on magazines, billboards, and even the news. How could he possibly be the one texting her? That night, she didn't sleep. She kept checking on the babies, watching their fevers rise and fall, and staring at her phone like it held the secret to her future. By morning, one of the twins, little Noah, began breathing in short, sharp gasps. Maya wrapped both babies in thin blankets and rushed into the rain toward the public clinic. The streets were flooded, cars splashed muddy water as she ran, her heart pounding with fear. At the clinic, nurses rushed the babies inside. She waited outside the treatment room, soaked and shaking. Then her phone buzzed again. Greater than, Maya, is this you? Greater than, yes, she replied weakly. Greater than, I sent a team to help. Stay where you are. She stared at the message, confused. What do you mean? Before she could send it, a sound filled the air outside, deep, rhythmic, and powerful. People in the waiting room rushed to the windows. Maya followed, her breath catching in her throat. A helicopter was descending onto the clinic's parking lot. The wind whipped through the trees as two men in black coats jumped out, carrying medical kits with the Ross Tech logo. One of them called her name. Maya Collins. She nodded, stunned. Mr. Ross sent us. We're transferring the twins to the Ross Tech private hospital. They'll get the care they need. Tears blurred her vision. Why would he do this? She whispered. The man smiled gently. You'd be surprised how many people your story could touch. Within minutes, they were airborne. Maya sat inside the helicopter, clutching the babies, watching the ground disappear beneath her. For the first time in months, she felt something she hadn't felt since her husband died in the factory accident that left her alone and broke hope. At the Ross Tech Hospital, the twins were placed in warm incubators under the care of top pediatric specialists. Maya stood beside the glass, her hands trembling, as doctors assured her they'd be fine. Hours later, a man entered the room, tall, dressed simply in a black coat and jeans. He looked nothing like the stiff billionaire she'd seen in news photos. His eyes were kind, tired, but sharp with purpose. Maya Collins, he said softly. She nodded. You're, Mr. Ross. He smiled faintly. Ethan is fine. She didn't know what to say. I don't know why you helped me, but, thank you. You saved them. He looked at the sleeping babies through the glass. When you texted, I was sitting in a meeting about expansion budgets. Millions of dollars on paper, and yet your message, it reminded me what actually matters. My mother was a single parent too. She worked herself sick trying to keep me fed. Maya's eyes filled with tears. I didn't mean to text you. It was an accident. Sometimes, Ethan said, turning toward her, the best things start by accident. Over the next few days, the twins recovered beautifully. Ethan made sure Maya had a safe place to stay near the hospital, food, clothes, and even a job offer at Rostech's daycare center, something that allowed her to work and be near her children. When she tried to thank him again, he simply said, promise me one thing, when someone else reaches out for help, don't look away. Do what you can. That's how kindness grows. A year later, as Maya watched her healthy twins laugh and crawl across their small apartment floor, a home paid for by her steady new job, she often thought back to that stormy night. One wrong digit, one desperate text, one man's compassion, and everything changed. Sometimes fate doesn't knock. Sometimes it texts the wrong number. Rain slammed against the rusted tin roof as Maya Collins tried to hush the soft cries of her newborn twins. The little ones were burning up with fever, their fragile chests rising and falling too quickly. The single light bulb flickered in the corner of her rented room, throwing shadows across peeling wallpaper and damp walls. Her phone screen glowed faintly in the darkness. She scrolled through her contacts until she found the name Mrs. Thompson, her former employer. The woman had always been kind, and though it had been months since they'd spoken, Maya had no one else left to ask. Her fingers trembled as she typed. Greater than, Mrs. Thompson, I'm sorry to message you like this. The twins are sick, and I can't afford their medicine. Could you please help me with a small loan? I'll pay you back as soon as I can. She read it twice, swallowed her pride, and hit send. The message ticked, delivered. She waited. A minute passed, then another. The twins whimpered again, and her heart sank. Just as she was about to put the phone down, it buzzed in her hand. Greater than, who is this? Her stomach dropped. Wrong number. She'd mistyped a digit. Greater than, I'm so sorry, she typed back quickly. Wrong number. Please ignore this. A pause. Then another. Message appeared. Greater than, you mentioned twins. Are they okay? She hesitated. Who was this? Still, something about the message felt sincere. Greater than, they're sick, she replied. I can't afford their medicine right now. I'll take them to the public clinic tomorrow. Greater than, what's your name? Greater than, Maya. Greater than, and what's your address, Maya? She frowned. Why do you ask? Greater than, because I can help. Her pulse quickened. Help, from a total stranger. Greater than, that's kind, but I don't accept charity. Greater than, it's not charity, the reply came. Think of it as, fate. A moment later, a bank notification popped up. She blinked, thinking it was an error. Then she saw the numbers. $2,000 deposited. Her breath caught. No, this has to be a mistake. She tried calling the number, but it went straight to voicemail. A calm, deep voice said. Greater than, this is Ethan Ross. Leave a message after the tone. She froze. Ethan Ross, the billionaire CEO of Rostech Industries. She'd seen his face on magazine covers, the news, everywhere. By morning, the twins' fevers had worsened. Desperate, she wrapped them in blankets and rushed through the pouring rain to the clinic. Nurses took the babies inside immediately, leaving her shaking in the waiting area, soaked to the bone. Her phone buzzed again. Greater than, Maya, is this you? Yes, she typed quickly. Stay where you are. Help is coming. She didn't understand. Then, minutes later, the sound of helicopter rotors thundered above the clinic. Everyone ran to the windows as a sleek black chopper descended into the parking lot. Dash dash dash. Part 2. The helicopter and the twins. The wind from the helicopter whipped through the air, sending dust and papers flying. Two men in dark suits stepped out, one holding a medical case, the other a phone pressed to his ear. Maya Collins. One of them called out over the noise. She stared in disbelief. Why yes, Mr. Ross sent us. The twins are being transferred to Rostech Private Hospital. Come with us. Everything blurred after that. The rush of nurses, the sound of blades, her own heartbeat pounding in her ears. She found herself inside the helicopter, holding her babies close, staring out the window as the city shrank beneath them. At the Rostech Hospital, doctors were already waiting. The twins were placed in incubators, surrounded by specialists. For hours, Maya sat beside them, praying silently. Exhaustion tugged at her, but she refused to close her eyes. When the door finally opened, she expected another nurse. Instead, a tall man walked in, clean-cut, dressed simply, but with an unmistakable quiet authority. "Ms. Collins." She stood up quickly. "Yes." He smiled gently. "I'm Ethan Ross." Her mouth went dry. You're really him." "I am," he said, stepping closer. "And those two are beautiful." He nodded toward the twins, sleeping peacefully for the first time in days. Tears welled in her eyes. "I don't understand. Why would you help a stranger?" He looked at her for a long moment before replying softly. "Because I was raised by one. My mother worked 3 jobs after my father left. I remember nights like this, rain leaking through the roof, no heat, and her holding me like I was all she had. When your message came through, it felt like something I couldn't ignore." Maya wiped her eyes, speechless. "But it was a mistake. I meant to text someone else." He smiled faintly. "Some mistakes are meant to happen." Over the next few days, the twins' health improved dramatically. Ethan visited daily, sometimes bringing flowers or baby clothes. He never made her feel indebted, only cared for. The doctors refused to take payment from her. Ethan had already covered everything. When they were finally discharged, Ethan asked, "What are your plans now?" "I don't know," she admitted. "I used to work as a nanny. But it's hard with the twins." He nodded thoughtfully. "We have a daycare at Ross Tech headquarters. I'd like to offer you a position there, full-time, with housing assistance. That way you can work and be near your children." Her eyes widened. "Are you serious?" He smiled. "I don't make jokes about opportunity, Ms. Collins." A year later, Maya stood on the rooftop of her small apartment, watching the sunset while the twins laughed on their playmat. Her job at Ross Tech's daycare had given her stability, friends, and dignity again. Sometimes, she still thought about that rainy night, about how a wrong number, a message born of desperation, had reached the one man who could change everything. When she saw Ethan at work one day, she thanked him again. He only smiled and said, "Greater than, promise me something. If you ever get a message like the one you sent me, don't hesitate. Be the one who answers." Maya nodded, understanding more than ever. Because fate didn't always come knocking. Sometimes, it texted the wrong number. And brought a miracle instead.